Hello everyone, welcome to Weekly Manga Recap on December the 18th of 2024!
It's a big
I'm
time.
Nick.
It's a big event.
Yeah, we gotta give it the socks, gotta, pretend that I'm being paid the big bucks, like those ring announcers who are, they trademark a term and then they just, coast on that for years and years.
Let's get ready to rumble!
No, we can't do that, we can't say that, We're not allowed to say that because apparently, if you say that, you have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars or something like that.
Okay. Interesting. Did not know that.
Yeah, Michael Buffer, greedy man.
That's a shame. Is this like that family that tried to trademark Happy Birthday? And you're like,
yeah,
what assholes? Like, what shitty losers? Interesting. Well, all right, we won't say that. My name's Quinn, by the way. I interrupted my own introduction because that's how I am as a person, yeah. And what would be our catchphrase on Weekly Manga Recap that we would trademark to make a lot of money?
I don't know. It'd probably be something like really bitter. Just like not like marketable at all, but it would be something along the lines of like Gakuro sucks or something, like just something really.
Or what was your quote during the Spider-Man thing? What the fuck, Spider-Man?
I don't remember which one in particular you're talking about. And I know that I got angry about him having a shiv.
I just remember there was like one like line like what the fuck, Spider-Man, or something like that. I hope that wasn't me that said that.
You might have said that.
No, I don't like that. Cut that out. Find a great Nick quote because there are good ones out there. It's just weird because the only one I'm going to is from one of your old red right to left videos, and I guess that's not the context we should be bringing up here or whatever.
We gotta move on to the future.
I think the word. I think what we should do is we should trademark and, because we always say that, like we're always saying like and it's gonna come up this week. Like I guarantee it, we're gonna say and at some point.
We're gonna get a nice funky new logo for Weekly Manga Recap. There's just a giant ass ampersand in it, and we'll be like, no other famous property has a giant ass ampersand in it. No, shut up.
I'm trying to think.
There's so many.
I was going to say, I could think of Penn and Teller's bullshit had a giant ampersand in the back of its sketch stuff.
Dungeons and Dragons has an ampersand that's like dragon flavored.
I don't think I've ever heard of Dungeons and Dragons before, Nick. What is it?
No, I don't know. I just don't know what it is.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, they owe us a lot of money because it sounds like they've been using all the time, and we've been doing that.
We'll only put the lawsuit through if so and so buys Hasbro. So, otherwise we'll leave it alone.
Yeah.
Because Astro won't deserve it anyway.
I was going to say, they're going to bottom themselves out with money anyway soon at this point anyway, so who cares? Nick, do you want to talk about manga today?
I would like to do that.
Let's talk about some manga today.
Yeah, it's really weird because I know that we've still got a good, like, more than 10 chapters to talk about. I don't know, though. Something about it feels like there's not a lot to talk about. I don't know why. And because, like, it's not like there are no chapters that I was excited about this week. There are. It just feels like something's off. I don't know what it is. Maybe as we go through, I'll discover that, though.
Okay. Nick, I don't want to give you a test. It feels like an unfortunate thing to do. But I do believe that by the end of this episode, we should get your thesis on why you believe this week a manga wasn't as interesting to you.
I think that we might eventually come across that. We might stumble across the answer.
All right. Well, surely it won't come up first in a series you've been very high on recently. That is, of course, Undead Unluck, number 235, The Rules of Man. And we start with a narration from Luna that is about how Luna and Sun's origin is that they were from the far cosmos of space, and they were expelled by them and came here. Here being the vast, empty void of nothingness that they were in with a single solitary seed. And Sun is looking at this seed saying, "What a poor looking seed. What do they expect us to do with this?" And Luna's like, "I think they're telling us to learn about what we lost to and why we lost to it. And they want us to raise it and learn those points." That's what I assume they mean. Sun's like, "That sounds stupid. I want to create a world that worships me like the god that I am. And then I will use this seed to prove that I am right." So Luna's like, "All right, middle ground. We'll let them constantly battle against us to see what they'll learn. And maybe they'll eventually decide that they like the rules that are being imposed upon them and desire God, in which case you win. Or if they reach a form of strength that neither of us know, and that power reaches us gods, then that will be when," but we don't get the end of that because we cut back to the present when Fuko has just had her heart ripped out because it's the heart, the artifact, and she disappears from this empty void that Luna is hanging out in. And
you can tell it's the heart because you can't see it anywhere.
Yes.
It's this between you and me. It's the heart.
I'm trying to think, is this a song reference?
It's from Bleach.
Okay. Well, fair then.
Quinn, what do you know about me?
There was a moment I was like, is this a Pat Benatar song you're quoting?
No.
No, it turns out it was Bleach, I'm going to assume chapter 487.
Well, I think that's way too late, but let me look up what that was.
That gives you something fun to do when we're talking about a series that you're, again, super high on.
Very excited about.
So Luna's just like, why? If you use this power, you're going to lose it. Then doesn't that mean everything to you? But we see the union members are very happy that Fuko is not dead. And I do love that Gina is pulling down Fuko's shirt to give her some modesty, and she's doing it as she's sort of flipping off Sean, who I guess was maybe looking, but at the same time, they did just receive like a nuke from her chest. So I can understand why you'd be like, anything else in there? Like, can we grab...
Are the answers to life, the universe, and everything contained between Fuko's boobs? Can we like at least take a look? Yeah. Like, it's
Fuko's breasts, and then you pull them to the side, and you're like, let's see what else we got going on in there.
Also, I do like that Gina has to A, summon a hand with her unchanged powers, and B, have that unchanged hand censored.
Yes. Well, that's a different negator, actually. Uncouth. They make sure anything that would be couth is now not couth, essentially. So, well, actually, no, that'd be the reverse. We would uncensor things.
Uncouth.
Uncouth is the character we're going to be dealing with. So, Soul at this point is like, well, I guess this is technically Sun. I don't really know anymore. Luna, now everything will be clear. And as they say that, several, like a dozen of these different Sun figures come out of this void behind Sun. And it is just like kind of what happened at the last Ragnarok. And Fuko, for a moment, is like seeming a little bit like despaired. She's like, oh God, this seems really rough. But Shen immediately kind of jumps into action and is like, hey, Fuko, get ready to use that thing. Meanwhile, we will buy you time and all of Union will defend her. And Shen continues by saying, I'm sorry, Fuko, that I was so mean to you at first. And it's thanks to you I realized so many things, like strength and love. And Shen is surrounded by Feng and Mui at this point. And the heart artifact begins to glow and fires out a series of beams that just absolutely vaporize several of the Sun clones. And Soul is like, hey, what the fuck? That's not supposed to happen.
Wait a minute.
And we get a sort of continuing, like, I don't know if they've realized the mechanic of this weapon or if they've all just decided now is a good time to explain why Fuko means so much to us at this point. So Rip continues about how he and Lala, they only ever thought about themselves. They can never stake their faith on anyone who would trust them with anything. But you met with us again and added us to the team, and thank you for that. And Billy is like, I should have realized from being on the battlefield that teamwork is important, but oops, sorry, I'm really sorry about that. And Gina is like, I'm the most grateful of all of us.
Just so everyone knows, I, Fuko's best friend, am the most grateful for her.
And she very specifically uses the verbiage, those two help change the old me and the current me. I only bring that up because then Sean pipes in to be like, and I wasn't able to see anything, but Fuko helped me see my dreams. And I'm like, I guess. Gina's makes a bit more sense than that.
Thanks to you guys, my love for this world will never decrease. Stop it. All you stop it. Stop it.
At one time in my life, I thought my life was leading to a draw, but now I know that I've truly found friends.
Tatiana just starts quoting The Touch from the Transformers movie.
I've got the touch, a bull. I've got the power, a bull.
I don't know if that actually works, but whatever.
She's like, it's really hard to put. Well, she did have some line like that. She's like, I'm just glad I get to feel like I'm touching the lives of others or being touched by the lives of others. It
would be great if like this chapter that it features quote unquote everyone saying a thing featured everyone saying a thing.
It doesn't. So. It ends there. We don't. Well, because then you'd also get to the characters like Bunny's like, Fuko, I don't think we've talked much this loop or previous loop, but thanks for being there.
Now let's all go back together.
So this beam is shooting out of heart at this point. It's blowing up all the clones, and Luna's just like, "Wait, what the fuck's happening?" And Anaon, for some reason, is the one to kind of deliver this message to Luna. I guess because everyone else is fighting and they can't. But they say every journey till now, every meeting, every hardship, every farewell, those become bonds and form power. And I bet you never knew about this rule. I see. It's not something that you created then. This rule called love is one created by humanity.
And that's the power of love. Kills the sun.
Pretty much. It's not looking super duper great. But Soul is saying, hey, Luna, can you hear me? Quit messing with me. What is this? This rule means nothing to me. And we end the chapter with sort of a 1 1/4 page spread as Andy notes, like, I guess I'm the last one left to give my feelings, right? And
no, there's 20 other members of the union that haven't gotten a chance to say anything. This is everyone working together, Andy. You said last chapter. Everyone working together made this happen, right?
Boyd and the others told me they didn't want to say anything, so we're okay wrapping it up with me.
Listen, Phil
can't even talk anyway.
No. This is an entire section of their contribution that you cannot avoid bringing up. Stop it.
Oh man, Nick's so much smarter than me on this show, guys. Anyway, Andy is about to fire off a big giant laser blast, and I guess we're gonna see. Nick, word on the street is this is the penultimate chapter of Undead Unluck.
And it feels like it too.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been obvious for a long time, but we did get an actual full-on announcement that I believe it was referred to as super finale of Undead Unluck is coming soon. So yeah, we will see that very shortly, and it kind of feels like it. I do kind of appreciate that there was at least a moment taken to discuss, like, so what the hell was the deal with Luna and Soul? What was some of that? Because I think without this, we just would have gotten literally nothing.
Yeah.
And I don't think that this is fantastic, just their backstory section, but I do like the implication of this there's always a bigger fish thing with, cosmic entities. So these were not like the strongest force in this, setting that exists. But also I like the way that we never see what the hell it was that cast them out. We don't know anything about it. It's just to know, like, by the way, these things were in this position and we're carrying out this experiment. Not out of some entirely self-driven curiosity thing. There's a much more mortal element of what they're doing here. Something that is kind of imposed and thrust upon them. Because it does give a lot of insight, I think, into their motivations for things.
Yes.
Because if they were just playing around with stuff, then it would feel like they're not nearly powerful enough in terms of what they can do.
It would also always kind of beg the question of, like, because again, if next chapter's the end, I'm not assuming we're going to get a ton of detail about things. So one of the lingering questions I have is, why is Luna such a little freak? Like, why is Luna such a little weirdo if they're on the side of the heroes? And it's like, oh, it's because she's not. She's also in, like, Sun and Luna seem to have been expelled for being little freaks of some kind, and they are doing their weird little curious experiment now. And I don't know if I like that part of it as much as you do. I think I'm a little bit almost annoyed that there was, like, less hints about anything more going on with these characters, but I think that also comes from the fact that one of them has been, like, a mysterious character who only showed up, like, at the end of the last loop, and then the other one literally doesn't talk outside of Soul talking for him, essentially. So, it works. I like this chapter, though. I'm a sucker for a bunch of characters being like, actually, the power of love will win, and it's a powerful weapon. Sentiments that maybe ring hollow at certain realities of our life, but it means a lot to me. So I enjoy it. I could definitely see why some people would be like, oh, this chapter was cheesy horseshit or dorky nonsense or whatever. I honestly found it pretty good, but
I don't think it was enough cheesy horseshit personally. So
there we go. Strong feelings from Nick. But that's gonna do it for Undead Unluck. I guess next week we'll be talking about it for the last time. But in the meantime, a series that isn't ending next week, I presume.
Presumably.
Well, Nick, I've had a real week for saying things and then them immediately slapping me in the face with them. Last week on this podcast, I said, I don't know when we're going to get to Steel Ball Run. I was going to wait for them to do an anime announcement. I don't think they're going to do one, so maybe we'll just do that later this year. Literally, I don't even think it was like 12 hours after the podcast ended, they announced the Steel Ball Run was getting an anime, and I'm like, well, motherfucker. It also happened to something on Dice Funk as well. I said something, Coral Island. I was like, yeah, I'm going to quit playing this game because they can't patch the Xbox version because they don't have access to it because their publisher got disbanded. So I just don't think I'm going to play it anymore. And then literally, like, I logged on to my Xbox the next day and there was a 13 gig patch on there. It's like, I need to start saying it for things that could benefit me. Like,
oh, no one's ever going to drop $13 million in my lap. That's not gonna happen.
Oh my gosh. Finding out I have like some long lost ancestor who just left me all of their money completely guilt-free. That'd be crazy. That's just never going to happen. I know everyone in my family, and there's certainly no secret like that hanging around. And then this is the one where they're like, actually, Jack the Ripper was still alive and was your second cousin, so you're going to jail. I'm like, that doesn't seem fair, but okay.
That's not what I was trying to accomplish at all.
Once again, this damn monkey's paw.
All right, Blue Box, chapter 177. It's been essential. We open up the chapter with the note of some friends talking about Chinatsu, just saying, you never know what she's thinking. Because, she does, like, her face kind of has that, like, neutral quality. You can never actually read her. And they say, like, yeah, whenever we're, like, all talking around her, she's just kind of, like, always just zoning out, just doing things at her own pace. Chinatsu, of course. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you were to just cut the very top of this page, and you just get, you never know what Chinatsu's thinking in that expression. You know no other context. How easy would it be to convince you that this girl is a serial killer?
This is a horror manga.
Yeah, there's like one moment where you're just like, you never know what Chinatsu's thinking. And then it's like, inside her mind, blood.
If anyone knows of any AU fics out there where it's just Blue Box, but a serial killer fanfic, well, I'm curious.
Yeah, guys, if I can find a great slash fix of Blue Box and Higurashi that you guys could lead me on to, that'd be great.
It's called crossover, not slash fix.
What? What's a slash fic then?
Slash fic is gay fan fiction.
And they could be that too. I don't care. Nick, I'm queer. I'm okay with it. That's fine.
Okay, just clarifying that. Okay. They can crossover and gay.
Yeah,
there you go.
Sure, okay. Go for it. As far as I'm concerned, this is a net win.
So, anyway, of course, Chinatsu. By this point in the series, we know that she's not like just some kind of like quiet person who's just like always got everything together. She is in this moment thinking, what kind of a person am I? That's something that no teenager has ever asked themselves, I'm sure. The basketball tournament is going well for Ame. They have made it to the finals, and of course, who should win on the other side of the bracket but Yumika's school. They also advance. And so Saisho will face off against Ame in the finals, Yumika versus Chinatsu. Then we cut to Taiki, who is still staying with Chinatsu's father, and he announces, like, hey, by the way, I'm going on a 3-day training camp, so I won't be hanging out here anymore. Make sure you eat the yogurt in the fridge within 2 days.
It's so funny, because not only is he looks kind of a little mad when he says this. Like, he's very serious of like, hey, I'm going to be gone for 3 days, so you better eat the yogurt in the fridge within the next 2 days. And Chinatsu's dad has been fully whipped by this boy's enthusiasm. He's like, understood.
Okay, I will.
It's like a step away from, yes, mom, yes, ma'am.
And then we stick with Chinatsu's dad for a little bit afterwards. It's the next day. Taiki has, gone at his training camp, so he's not there. And there's just a brief little moment of, like Chinatsu's father coming out of his bedroom and just like expecting Taiki to say good morning. And of course, like, it's just kind of weird that he's not here now. He even goes on a run like he would do with Taiki. But he can't make it quite as far. He's about like half a block short of where he would normally get tired. He then reflects on what happened in the last chapter where Chinatsu and Taiki had that conversation and he encouraged her. And we now have confirmation that he did witness at least the end of that conversation, which makes sense given when we saw him show up. And he says to himself, he doesn't say this, rather. We cut back to Chinatsu at this point. She's still thinking, what kind of person am I? And she's now talking with Nagisa, who says, you've changed. Because, whenever I thought that you had something on your mind, you would just kind of like go at your own pace and you'd figure it out. But now I see that you're willing to like talk about it. You seem more relaxed, and I'm glad that you're doing that because that means you're not just carrying all your burdens on your own anymore. So nice little this like friendship moment, like, I'm glad for you that you can actually communicate with people about that stuff.
I think this is genuinely like a very sweet moment of friendship. I don't know a lot about Nagisa because
there's a lot of characters in Blue Box that are just the friend of another character.
Nina! So. But yeah, I genuinely love this as like a sentiment of friendship. It's just like, hey, before I used to just kind of trust you would handle everything, but now you like let other people in and you seem really relaxed as a result of it. And I'm just relieved. And I'm like, yeah, that's a very sweet thing, Nagisa, to say. That's a good thing.
Chinatsu's narration continues, and she says, like, I'm not like sure I'm not sure what kind of person I am. Other people see me one way. I see myself another way. And sometimes they don't match up.
Do you find Do you find this in life, Nick? That people have a vision of you don't feel you live up to?
Not necessarily that I don't live up to, but just it does make me feel kind of weird whenever people see me in so many different ways. I had an experience at my last job. This would have been about 7-ish years ago, maybe a little bit less than that, where I was at work and this somewhat slightly older coworker of mine was shocked when I cursed in front of her. And she was like, "Oh, I didn't know that you like swore. I've been like watching my language around you because you seemed like such a like a well-behaved,
such a good
clean
Christian boy.
You seem like a really clean-cut young man." And I was like, "No, I swear all the time." Like, it's just that when I was in like work customer care mode, like I was cutting that down. And she was like, "Oh, okay. Well, now that I know that I can rocks around you, okay, we'll get along better now," basically. But that's just like such a small example, but it's just a very memorable one of like, that's weird to me that someone sees me that way when I know myself so well in that respect of like, no, that's not how I am. But it does make you think about the way that you project yourself around people, because no one's ever going to know the real you unless you show them every single side of yourself. So the side that you do show to people, whether it's conscious or not, is always going to affect their reality of you. And for someone who is not fully familiar with that prospect or fully comfortable with that, like a growing teenager, that's a really big revelation to have to deal with. This is a very like honest discussion that Shinatsu's having with herself.
Yes, very much so.
Taiki gets back from the training camp. Like, this is just kind of like a montage of like what Chinatsu's dealing with and such while her boyfriend's away. Chinatsu greets Taiki when he goes to like the school bathroom, to the one by the gym, where they have the big sinks and stuff.
Yeah.
And so they just like say like, "Oh, how are things going?" and stuff. Taiki says, "Oh, by the way, your dad missed me." While I was gone. And there's just this like little memory of like, "I've got food. You want some food?
Hey champ, you got some you want some food? You hungry? You hungry, sport?
Can we go running?"
I also like, I don't know if it was intentional, but in that transition from going from the dad to Chinatsu, it also looks like he realizes he needs to be picking up the pace. Because he like notes, he's like, usually he runs this far when he's with Taiki, and he's sort of slowed down. He remembers how Taiki is like pushing Chinatsu forward, and he's like, I'm gonna go a little bit further. And I'm like, this sweet dumb boy is just innocently affecting everyone's lives so earnestly around him. It's just like spurring them all to be better.
Visual storytelling. It's great.
Yeah.
And by the way, I wasn't even joking when I said like, he was like, "Oh, can we go run together?" No, he literally said that.
Yeah.
So let's go running. And Chinatsu's just like, huh. So this is what it's kind of like to watch Taiki win someone over, basically. But she also thinks to herself, I too can be wrong about other people. And so her dad is busy at work, going like into the night when Chinatsu's gone home. She gives him a call, and he asks like, "What's up?" And she says, "I want you to come and watch my last qualifiers game tomorrow. You were right, because I have been selfish while I've been here, even though I haven't gotten any results. So I'm gonna win. I want you to know who I am now, Dad." And her father just says like, "All right, understood. Hang in there." Chinatsu's like, wasn't expecting him to say that, but okay. And but I guess that's just kind of also leaning a little bit more into the whole thing of like, you could be wrong about other people. You never know exactly how they're going to react about certain things. And she reflects on herself, how she's always been this kind of introverted person, especially when she was younger. And she says to herself, I guess that it's true that I'm not that great at communicating. So to my father, I look diligent and serious. Others take me for someone who doesn't care about what people think. Yumika sees me as stoic. What kind of person am I really? I don't really know. But I know one thing for sure. Ever since I started playing when I was 8, all the way to now when I'm 18, basketball has been essential to my life. There's a cute picture of little Chinatsu with a basketball, and older Chinatsu is like taking like a hand off from her, like they're
taking the ball
a baton.
Yeah, this shit's incredible. I don't know how to tell you. It's outstanding to see this. I don't even want to say it's character growth necessarily, because it's not as though like Chinatsu was in like a bad place before, but like character realization of sort of realizing who she is, what she wants to do, how important this thing has been to her life, even though she's like currently in a state of feeling like kind of self-conscious about her abilities to do it. I love it. It's phenomenal. I wish all teenagers were as like healthy and introspective as Chinatsu and Taiki. Not even teenagers, all people were as healthy and introspective as these two. Because this felt like a very profound moment from Chinatsu to just realize like, look, I have been selfish, Dad. I'm sorry. It's not like an evil, like unintentionally I've been selfish. I've wanted to do this, but I'm going to win. I want you to know who I am. Like, please witness me, basically. I haven't been good at communicating. I'm doing it. Like, she's succeeding in all these things, and she does it all with, like, the thought process of, like, yeah, all the way from 8 to the lofty age of 18 now. This thing
it's more than half her life.
It is. No, look, it is. Once you reach, like... Once you reach the point where you start separating your life into decades, the 10 years, you're like, okay, sure. But yeah, it's very, very adorable.
And we're not quite done with the chapter because we just kind of like have build up to the big day. So it is now the next day. It's time for Chinatsu's potentially final basketball game as a high schooler. And Taiki and Kyo head on inside in order to go and watch Chinatsu. They also meet up with Karen and Ayame, which makes sense. And then we see, Chinatsu's father is late to the game. And I like that, Taiki's like, where are you? Where are you?
Well, it's very funny because you can read the social situations Taiki is working himself through, which is, what time are you going to be there? No response. Send a message. I'm here. Maybe you didn't get it, but I'm here. Nothing. And then,
where are you?
Where are you? And well, not even that. It's just, where are you? And then emoticon, still nothing. And like that's when he's like starting to freak out of like, what's happening? And it's very adorable to like see it in the texts.
And he is like, look, I'm on my way. It's just work ran late. So Taiki reports that to the others, and he's now a bit worried. Like, I mean, they're gonna start like as soon as they're all warmed up. The game's starting. If he's not here, he's missing it, and this means so much to Chinatsu Senpai. He's got to be here. I know she wants to win, but it's also because she's going to be taking on her greatest rival in their final game. And we close the chapter on a split page between Chinatsu and Yumika as they're both warming up. They both actually also happen to be like taking like shooting practice at the exact same time on opposite sides of the court. Oh boy, this feels very sports manga, Quinn.
It does. I try to enjoy it more as like a romance series or a romance slice of life series. It's like I just feel like we're not gonna get like a cool moment of tip off, like the two of them jump in the air and it's like a bat. We're not gonna get that stuff. I feel like so I'm just accepting like this is what you get as a sports manga right now. But one day a baseball manga will succeed and you'll have to read it, or a better sport hopefully, and man, we're gonna be eating good when that day happens.
Just suddenly like there's an entire like genre and style shift in the next chapter, photorealistic images and stuff, and it's like, Koji Miura I guess decided to trace WNBA pictures for this sequence.
I understand, Squirrel Dude, that neither of them are in the position to do the tip off. I don't care, I want them to do it.
Chainsaw Man! Chapter 187. Barf! Pochita's heart has landed very unceremoniously directly in front of the aging devil after it was thrown by the Chainsaw Man. The aging devil could do something about this, but instead goes, hey, you guys whose organs I just ripped out, stop it. Too late, Denji pulls his ripcord in the aging devil world. The heart regenerates into Chainsaw Man immediately. Lurches up in front of the aging devil, starts ripping and tearing into that thing, splits it apart, guts go everywhere, body gets ripped in half, and all of the people around the aging devil are just, bathed in its blood and stunned by all this happening. The aging devil says, "Oh, thanks, Chainsaw Man. This is the most vivid and powerful pain I've ever experienced. But you can't kill me that way." And just points at Pochita's head and trees him. Partially.
Does partially tree him, yeah.
There's bark growing out of all sorts of places, and like the legs are petrified and stuff. So interesting that he claimed that, oh no, my power doesn't turn people into trees, and then he pointed at Chainsaw Man and turned him into a tree. So maybe he's just full of shit. Just maybe.
Might be.
He is a devil. Back with Denji, he's standing in front of the tree person whose guts he ate and just says, "I ate it all." Picks up the axe and goes to another tree. The 80-year-old something guy who's been there the whole time says, "Hey, no, stop it! Stop! Stop! These people have lived for millennia trying to escape this place. They reached the truth. You're not even 20 years old. You've got no right to kill them." Then she picks up the axe and slashes into one of the trees. And he just says, "Whatever, man."
I do love "whatever, man" as a response to things sometimes. Just do the action and go, "Whatever, dude."
And he just says, "Look, I'm thankful for the food. I'm eating with all I got. I'm sure they forgive me." I don't know about that.
No, you just do the Itadamatsu or whatever, the little prayer beforehand. I tried. I realized I didn't know it, and I sort of just made sounds. I apologize if that was offensive. It wasn't intended to be.
Itadakimasu.
There you go. Exactly.
The guy observing Denji goes, "He's a devil," which is,
it's true.
Nice little. Well, it's a nice reflection on the realization that Asa had about Yoru earlier in this arc to further tie the two of them together. Yeah. Denji's just like, "All right, well, I ate all the guts and Pochita hasn't killed that guy yet. Gotta go chop into another one and eat that thing's guts. There we go." Pulls his ripcord, Chainsaw Man regenerates, cuts into the aging devil, fully cuts him in half this time, vertically, and it regenerates. And the aging devil is just so tired at this point. "Can you just eat me? Just eat me. You can't kill me otherwise, just eat me." Denji has a realization. He says, "Pochita, the barf! My belly is about to burst. If you're struggling, make me barf up some kind of useful devil!" Chainsaw Man pauses. Denji starts to throw up, and that's the end of the chapter.
Nick, what devil do you think he's going to throw up?
There are so many it could be. I can't recall who the other devils that he's eaten recently are.
He ate the snow devil, the ear devil,
mouth devil.
I feel like there was another one. He ate the octopus devil, didn't he?
That is true. He ate the octopus devil because of Yoshida.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that would be particularly useful in this set of circumstances. But also, I mean, there's no telling whether, like, it's recent devils only that he could barf up at this point.
Oh, God. He barfs up the Nazi devil, and you're like, no, a different one, Pochita. Oh, he did eat the atomic bomb at some point. It's gonna be a rough time for a lot of and all the people in that area of Japan they're in.
Well, but they're in the Aging Devil world. The Aging Devil would come up in the devil that he barfs up has affected the Aging Devil's world whenever it's happened. Like the Snow Devil came out then and made it snow.
It didn't snow. That was a flashback, I thought.
But it snowed.
It did. I thought in the flashback it snowed. Because what would be the value of vomiting up a devil in the world he's trapped in? Unless it just, I guess it makes it real in the real world again.
It would make it real in the real world. So I don't know exactly what would happen, but I was thinking maybe it would be something that would actually help he and Asa actually escape from the Aging Devil world.
The snow triggered the flashback. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense.
And so did the Bitterness Devil.
Because there's no snow on the ground anymore, but I guess we're reading a black and white manga. I guess maybe it's hard to tell if there is or not. All right, fair enough.
Anyway, we can't spend all that time analyzing Chainsaw Man, Quinn. We've got so much Astro Royale to discuss.
I mean, it's the usual amount of Astro Royale, but it's still too much Astro Royale, to be honest. Look, I generally liked this week of chapters. This is really the big exception to it. This chapter eats fucking dog food. All right, this is garbage.
I just considered it a big old nothing burger, honestly. So, Astro Royale, Chapter 34, The Immortal Phoenix. Yeah, there is an analysis that Hibaru and Tarasu are doing of like, oh, there were all sorts of asteroids and meteorites that struck the country and stuff all over the place. As a result of that, a whole bunch of stuff around Yokohama was heavily damaged. So we got to plan our route accordingly. Road trip planning. I gotta get a GPS that functions right, Quinn. This is exciting stuff.
Do they still make standalone GPS units, do you think? Can I go to a place and buy a Garmin or a TomTom?
I'm sure you could.
All right, hold on. New TomTom models.
A dude with a backpack shows up. And he's like, hey, Hibaru, I found you. And Hibaru's like, Hiko, he's a guy who goes to Hibaru's school. And he says, my little sister was kidnapped. And her kidnapper told us to bring 1,000,000 yen to Yokohama. And everyone's like, who the hell is that guy? And so Tarasu helpfully explains, well, you see, Hibaru doesn't fight at school when people challenge him because he's the son of a Yakuza. And some other kids were trying to take advantage of that. And then Hiko came by and was like, stop that! And then he got himself beaten up. So Karan's like, oh, so he's just some guy.
Yeah, he's just some fucking dude who shows up.
Just a guy.
He's just some dude who happens to be like, hey, can you guys help me with my mission? And they're like, yeah, it actually requires us to go to the exact same place. You're like, oh, like a bad storytelling device would do. Like, maybe instead of doing the whole fucking everybody gather around the big guys, he gives out our missions, Dolman. This motherfucker should have shown up last mission, and that's why they're going to Yokohama. So fucking stupid.
So he says, yeah, the Yokohama Immortal kidnapped my sister, and normally I'd call the cops, but things are different now. I mean, that police station seemed to be functioning perfectly normally, so...
In this apocalypse, the cops have not been hindered really at all, it seems. If anything, it's only made them more powerful.
He's got a jar full of money, and he says, this is all the money that I've got. So I was wondering if maybe your family could go and talk to them for me. I didn't want to rely on Yakuza, but... And Tarasu says, hey, watch it. I guess because he was like, Yakuza, I don't want to have to depend on them. You know, it's the kind of...
Because Yakuza are bad, Nick, except they're really quite good when you think about it. In fact, they've done nothing but help their community. Now, why did they have an offshore oil plant? To help the world, I assume.
Yeah, and how could they afford an offshore oil plant?
Through completely legitimate business means that help our community. Small business loan, maybe.
Totally legal and not at all amoral.
Yep.
Not in any way. No.
They did it by like doing like boxing matches and stuff like cool punch things that you can't really be angry at because they just have so much guts. Lion taming, other cool shit like that. That's how they raised it.
That one Bone Collector written manga where with the one boxer guy. That's how they did it.
Oh, do retell.
Yes, that. Do retry.
Or do retry. Was it do retry? Yeah.
That's so.
Yeah, because I had the classic do retry to make a better manga joke. Oh, what a classic. Can I use that one again, Nick? I already did, so.
It's already dead!
I can bring it back so I can kill it again.
Quinn's like, I didn't hear no bell.
Everyone's like, no, it got better, and then I think it got worse. Who knows?
So, Hiyohiko accompanies Tarasu and Hibaru, who have a cool motorcycle, and he's got a dorky little motor scooter.
The motorcycle would have to go so slow to even keep up with that. To the point where you'd be like, why am I even riding in a motorcycle?
Absolutely. It's like, Shadow, why are you on the motorcycle?
Well, no, that's cool. That's always been cool.
Because it looks cool, obviously.
That's fine.
Also, in certain games, that's the only way I can have a gun. There's so they're like, well, Hibaru and Tarasu, we know who the Yokohama Immortal actually is. We don't know them too well, but we also don't think that they would kidnap somebody. And so anyway, they get to Yokohama, great road trip. They see that it is not doing so great. Lots of crumbled over buildings and stuff. And then Hibaru's like, all right, well, guess we gotta walk. And then for no reason, Kiyohiko goes, "Wah!" For no reason. Like, I don't know why he just suddenly screams at this moment. Is it because there's devastation all around them? There was in the previous page too.
I think it's because that's where the person who kidnapped his little sister is or whatever. But that's where they were going. So what? I don't know. It's dumb. This whole chapter's dumb. Just keep going, I guess.
They come to a shopping mall, and as soon as Yuhiko sees that there is graffiti on this wall, he's like, I want to go home. And it's like, I mean, what do you expect, dude? Like, come on. So Tarasu's like, well, if this guy's the real deal, he'll know about Hiyohiko's sister and the Daybreak Ore. So they go inside. We see that there's a meeting happening where everyone's surrounding this guy who is called the Yokohama Immortal, Kobai Nekosogi. And he demands that Hiyohiko give him 1,000,000 yen, which is about $10,000. And he's like, I don't have 1,000,000 yen. I'm sorry. And both Tarasu and Hibaru are like, I mean, you're not the Yokohama Immortal, because we know who that is. He's got gimps too. Anyway,
I don't understand that element to this. I'm assuming this character is not supposed to be one and done, but like, it's such a distinct detail to give. It's like, oh, he just keeps a bunch of men like bound and gagged at all times of the day. Also, behind his little hangout is like a St. Andrew's bondage cross. You're just like, why? What is this guy?
So he unleashes his Astro, and so do a couple of his followers. They try and jump Hibaru and Tarasu and Yuhiko. And honestly, I do like this one particular image of Hibaru and Tarasu just being like, nah. And
no, I don't, because this fucking infuriates me. Tarasu is the one who's acting all cool and confident. Motherfucker, you're the shield of this group. You should be the one blocking the attacks. It's so annoying.
He's blocking them. He's blocking
one-third of them. I don't see anything he's doing. I guess his shield is up. Yeah, sorry. It's yeah, okay. I can see it now. He is blocking one of them. And you know what? Then it's okay. Because middle guy can just die. I don't care. No one cares about this guy.
He's like, Tarasu, you could have used your shield to block him too. No, fuck him.
Yeah.
We're Yakuza. What are you talking about?
My shield's not big enough to do that. They're like, yes, it is. No, you must be misremembering.
No. Yeah, so the fight immediately stops after it breaks out, because why would you want there to be a battle in this battle series? Then he's like, well, who the hell are you guys with your astro powers and stuff? And they're like, well, who the hell are you? Because you're definitely not the Yokohama Immortal. Why are you using his name? Hiyohiko's like, oh, let's go. Let's get out of here, guys. Then
this is so... aren't we here to save your sister? Like, this cowardly motherfucker has said nothing but like, oh, guys, we should go home.
I've got one character trait.
You've just seen that this guy keeps all of... I only have to assume it's his hostages or whatever in this weird situation, and you're not like more concerned about the fate of your sister after this? Like, if anything, you should be like, kill these guys because we have to find my sister so much.
Yeah, so Tarasu and Hibaru are like, all right, we're gonna fight you guys. Tarasu says, we don't go easy on Yakuza, because they're also Yakuza. Anyway, Hibaru beats them all up off page, okay? And then he demands of the guy calling himself the Immortal, Nekonosogi, hey, well, where's Yohiko's sister? And he says, we already offered her to ABR. And Hibaru's like, you shouldn't use jargon in front of guests. That's
rude.
When someone comes to your place of business, like a mall, and you're performing customer service for them, you need to avoid shorthanded jargon. You need to actually explain to them in plain English what's going on. So, what is ABR? Atomic Boogie Respiratory System.
Yeah. Atomic Boogie Restoration System?
Okay, well, right. I guess that she had a really dry nose. Okay, good. So, Nekosogi says, like, I've got more guys and stuff. Where are they? And some dude comes in and says, they were all defeated. What? Go outside. There is a dude with flip-flops and a cane, and he's beating everybody up. And Tarasu and Hibaru are like, oh, it's that guy, who suddenly appears behind Hibaru and is like, I'm the gay panic character, grabs his face, and says, like, yeah, they pretended to be me. They killed a whole bunch of people. They find people's weaknesses and exploit them. Rather, he says, good little delinquents don't kill people. They find people's weaknesses and exploit them, tame them, and play with them. And this is Shikaba Yotsurugi, formerly the third in command of the Yotsurugi family, a.k.a. the Yokohama Immortal. Oh, what an imposing, important character is a Yotsurugi. Who would have ever thought? So... Also, he has blonde hair, but at least this guy has a distinct facial design with his long-ass eyelashes.
I was going to say, he has these enormously long eyelashes, so I feel like it's going to be very difficult to mistake him. He also ends the chapter by saying, don't worry, I'll tell you all everything you want to know about the Daybreak Ore and that kid's sister, which is like, cool. I'm glad there is no obstacle for these characters whatsoever. They walked into a room and were like, hey, you're not the Immortal. And then the Immortal's like, I'm going to fight you. And then they don't fight. And then they're like, hey, there's more people to fight. And then they're like, actually, that was solved off screen. Here's this character who we don't know anything about. But instead of at least maybe making things remotely interesting by like offering a choice to our heroes and be like, hey, you're here for this kid's sister or the Daybreak Ore. You can pick information about one or the other. And like, testing like the morality of Hibaru's character in that moment, and say he's like, I'm just gonna give you other information because fuck it, who cares? Like, I have to assume the series is like fucking race neck ending to explain why this chapter is so like incomprehensibly bad. I don't understand how this chapter exists otherwise.
I don't care enough to think it's bad, so
sure, yeah,
just there. So, all right, everybody, it's time to talk about Hima-Ten, chapter number 23, Haunted Walk. Himari is doing a little impromptu stream while kind of out and about on her own outside. We see just the very, very end of that, and she's, signing off. And she just very, casually says to herself, I got 10,000 viewers, even though I only went live for a little while. Jesus Christ.
That's an insane number.
But so she basically, thinks to herself, like, yeah, this means that I can't neglect doing all my work and stuff if, like, even for that amount of time I got that much attention. Like, it's business I can't ignore. She also thinks, like, hey, I got to promote my Lucky Love line, so that's good. Just to remind us of that thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, to wrap up the camping trip, we're doing a haunted walk. So this is a thing that you see a lot of the time in, school trip arcs where they set up a spooky walk through the woods, pair up some people so that you get them separated from everybody else. Certain members of the class are in costumes and jump out and go, bleh, scare everybody. Haunted hay bale. So they pair up people according to the seating chart, which means that Himari and Iemori are together. So they've got their flashlights on their phones pulled up, and Iemori's like, I can't believe they just paired us based on the seating chart. And Himari's like, what are you sighing for? I know that you wanted to be paired up with Hanoka. So just, kind of like very slightly biffed of like by that. But she says, actually, I'm really, really tired. That's why I sighed. So I'm actually quite glad that I am paired with you because I can relax around you.
Aww. But then you get a different kind of awe because she's like, but why am I so nervous around you?
I don't know. So she also thinks, of course, about like the very, very nice things that he said about her earlier in the trip. And she's like, I know it's not like he likes me or anything. It's like, Iemori hears some screaming in the distance and says, like, oh, it must have been a different class that got scared and stuff. You okay? And Himari's like, yeah, I'm fine. And then he looks over. She is like right up against him, like marching so that their like elbows are brushing against each other. And I really love the look that Iemori gives her. It was like,
hey, what's going on there, champ?
What's going on? And she's like, I'm fine.
Nothing. This is simply the most efficient way to walk.
I love what her constant excuse through this chapter, which is, I run a company.
She's like, just starts big dogging him. Yeah, you know what? I had 10,000 viewers earlier. You've never had 10,000 of anything in your life, you stupid idiot, jerk.
Oh, look out, Himari. 10,000 is a really big number. It might be kind of scary. So she's like, yeah, I know that this place isn't haunted. I know it's just our classmates who are going to jump out at us. One of the classmates is in costume, jumps on. She immediately goes, ah! And immediately nestles into Iemori's arms for safety. And she kind of actually, like, it does, like, linger a little bit, too. Because there is a certain level of, like, oh, she was startled. And then there's, like, no. Like, she's actually, like, clearly scared and is seeking comfort in him. And more spooks and stuff are ahead. Himari is immediately like, let's just run. I'm sorry I pretended I wasn't scared. And Himari's like, okay, let's go. And they're just kind of like proceeding at like speed walk to get going. And she's like covering her ears, closing her eyes and going, I'm not scared as they're going along. They get to the end of it. Himari turns to Iemori and says, forget everything you just saw. And I did not cling to you out of fear. None of this ever happened. And Iemori says, I kind of like thought you weren't scared of like anything. And she's like, I just hate ghosts. I'm fine with heights. I'm fine with the dark. And I started my own company.
I mean, the way she phrases it is like, I'm not really afraid. Like, I can deal with heights. I can deal with the dark. And I started my own company, so I'm very brave. Like, I know how to, like, do these things. But it does sound like she is almost just adding this bit in at the end of some sentences. Like, if she's ever getting criticized, she's like, I own a company,
But the Haunted Walk, despite the fact that, like, that's the title of the chapter, it's done at this point, and it's only halfway through the chapter. The rest of it is a conversation between the two of them. Himari wants to know, like, hey, how do things go with Anoka and stuff? And Iomori says, like, and she's like, come on, you're not going to just, like, try and keep it from me at this point. Just fully calls him out. I was like, come on, just spill. Tell me. So she learns that Anoka was wearing the lipstick, the Lucky Love lipstick. And Iomori's like, yeah, so, like someone had told me that you're supposed to like wear it in front of your crush, but it turns out she was just wearing it because her lips were chapped and she forgot chapstick at home. And Iomori's like,
sure.
Yeah. So Iomori says like, okay, well, what do you think? Is that, would a girl just like wear that in front of anyone? And Himari's like, I mean, it's possible, sure. It's like, so sure, yes, but she also says, I mean, you might want to wear it even if you don't have a crush. Some people wear those kind of products because they want to catch somebody's attention, because the most important thing is that they just make you look cute. Also, Lucky Love makeup is just called that for marketing purposes. But that probably does mean that at least that she wanted to look cute for you. And she's clearly much more comfortable now and everything. She says, did you tell her she's cute? And Iomori's like, no. Ah, well then.
That's where you failed.
Yeah. So she says, well, why don't you practice with me? Himari,
to be
you
clear,
cannot be honest with yourself. You cannot be honest with yourself right now. You can't just be thinking this entirely altruistic on your part. Because she puts on the makeup and is like, try saying I'm cute.
I will come to her defense here, because it is worth noting we don't get the impression she put any kind of like tone to it. She might be very bluntly saying like, well, why don't you practice with me? And she puts the lipstick on.
You can't be thinking this, Mark.
I do believe there is a part of her that wants to hear her say, or wants to hear Iomori say, you look cute. But that said, I don't 100% know how much of it is like that crush starting to bleed over to the front part, the front part of her brain.
So she looks at Iomori and is like, oh, so what do you think? Do I look cute? She puts on a nice little smile. She's kind of blushing a little bit. And Iomori is like, I mean, yes, you look cute. But, I mean, you don't have to do this. You don't have to help me practice like that. Like you're a pro with this kind of thing. Awkward teenager. But Himari says, I mean, like, I've got to do a shoot to market my line anyway. I want to see your reaction. And even Iomori's like, well, why do you want to see my reaction? She says, you didn't wait for my response before because you went straight to the observation deck. But I was really happy when you said what you did before. And I realized that you understand me. And I know that going out shopping outside of work yesterday, that like brought us closer. But when you're cleaning, you're just my house cleaner, okay? So don't let that affect your work.
This is where I think even more it is the part of her that recognizes this crush is coming through. Because even though it really doesn't feel like this was like a solid continuation of their conversation, she felt the need to be like, let me reestablish the boundaries that we have at a home, like in our professional, relationship. And you're like, why do you feel like you need to reestablish those boundaries, Himari? What thoughts were you thinking?
Yeah, it's like, Were you thinking like, oh, things are going great between us? Or are you thinking like, he's being a little bit too casual with me? Or were you thinking like, man, it would be great if I could watch him clean with those big strong arms? Like,
yeah.
So she does exactly that. She says like, hey, just so you know, by the way, we are professional, and that's all there is between us. And Ymori's like, okay, I understand. Like, the stuff that we've been through, I'm not going to let that affect my work or anything. Okay. Himari's like, all right. And she walks off. Immediately you see like, oh, she's not giving him the whole picture because there's a look of kind of like forlorn regret crossing her face, which distracts her. And she trips because they're, outside on like a sidewalk or something.
There were steps coming up.
Starts to fall, and Imori just like without thinking just lunges forward in order to like try and catch her, and kind of ends up falling on top of her instead. And they are right next to each other, and he's got his arms around her too. Of course, they're both embarrassed. He tries to proceed on. I was like, hey, are you all right? And then Imari says, yeah, actually, oh, sorry. I think I got you. And her lip gloss is on his cheek. Pretty close to his mouth, too. It's surprisingly clearly on his cheek, but it's like a mouth width away from his mouth. So immediately Imori's like, it's okay. It was just on the cheek. We didn't actually kiss. And we can just pretend that this didn't happen. He looks at Himari and she's like, yeah, right.
It's very cute.
And he's like, why are you making that face? And she's like, don't act like anything happened tomorrow, actually. This was a cute chapter, Quinn.
Yeah, it's nice and sweet. I like that. I don't know how to phrase this. I don't want to say like the tables have turned in their relationship, because I think
the Himas have turned.
Yeah, Himari has always been, I think, the one who started to recognize like she's catching feelings to some degree. Maybe she hasn't realized it quite yet, but there's something brewing back there. Whereas I think at the start of the series, Iamori was the one who first realized like, oh, I have actually a very profound respect for this person. And I don't think for him it's necessarily crossed over yet. So I do love that she get like, because he's just like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened. That's so awkward. And she's the one doing the cute like, oh, okay. And then
it's a very cute expression that she's making on that last page.
She has to come in like, you better not act like something happened tomorrow. And he's like, I'm not.
Okay, what? I won't.
Are you
like he was being like honestly very together about the fact that a girl just accidentally kissed him on the cheek. Quinn, when I was 16 years old, if this had happened to me, I would be like, he is very calm about this. Like, it's just on the cheek. We'll pretend it didn't happen. It's fine. Everything's fine. And she's
yeah. The little puffed up cheeks and everything like that. It's like, all right, I can see why you started up a company. That'd be great. That was her liner. And she's like, I own a company, 10,000 viewers today.
Shut up. Don't make fun of me. Shut up. I own a company.
Yes, right. Himari, we get it. You own a company. Calm down.
Oh, I forgot to replace my starters in fantasy football this week. Shut up. I own a company.
Who was the football player I didn't start that everyone got really mad at me for?
I don't remember.
Ray Rice, I think. I think it was I drafted Ray Rice first round, then benched him my first game because he was going against the Steelers.
And everyone was like, why would you do that? He proceeds to put in like 20 points.
I was like, sometimes I'm an idiot.
I think that you would have lost anyway or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think it was
still. Yeah. Anyway, Ichi the Witch. 15th hunt, S-tier magic warning. Last time Ichi deviated from his hunting contest with Togise in order to face off against this very dangerous magic that has shown up. We get a color page, 2-page spread with featuring the two of them. Hell yeah, Ichi the Witch doing great right now. Made the cover of Shonen Jump with its 15th chapter. That's a very good sign. And I love this 2-page spread between the two of them. It's yin-yang as hell. I love it.
Very much so. So much so, Nick, is it presumptuous to say, at this point that maybe we move Ichi the Witch out of this section of the recap?
I think it's safe to do that now. Yeah,
and
we could do that. Like we could do a shakeup, maybe with the new year, because there's gonna be some series that are ending.
I was gonna say
a little bit of organizing.
We'll have Undead Unluck presumably ending next week. In which case, maybe that's a good place to put something different.
I'm so happy, Quinn. It's been so long since I had a series that I was like, I'm so excited about this. And then it did gangbusters.
And then it didn't get canceled within 28 chapters.
Immediately. The humanoid magic doesn't respond to Ichi at all. Instead, he goes, yo, Uroro. And Uroro appears on Ichi's shoulder, looking very uncomfortable, grimacing and stuff. And it's like, what are you doing? You playing some sort of weird game? What are you doing? Deplorable. Great word. So Ichi's like, hey, do you know that guy? And Aurora says, like, they're literally the last one in the world I wanted to run into. I've been trying to, like, lie low, been trying to hide signs of my presence so that they wouldn't notice me, but unfortunately, some dumb bloodlust radar idiot had to go straight for him.
It makes sense, because I was like, why haven't we seen Aurora in a while? Like, it's kind of strange. Wasn't that, like, part of the main gimmick of this series? And, yeah, he was intentionally hiding his presence. Makes sense.
Yeah. And Aurora's like, I swear, nothing good has happened to me since you acquired me. The humanoid magic says, you got acquired by that little mouse. And immediately Ichi's trying to attack him with his knife. He flash steps away and is totally fine. And goes, I see. You react to bloodlust, an unusual biological response. And he just says, hey, you, mouse, look at me. What do you see? And Ichi looks at the humanoid magic, really looks at him, and he says, I see death. And there is this skeleton of something that that appears in the aura of this humanoid magic.
What do you mean?
Has
Nick, it's like a normal human skeleton. Don't you have don't you have 6 arms?
No, I think I've only got 3. So yeah.
You must have had an accident or something. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I lost all my arms. It sucks. So Ichi demands to know, how many people have you killed? The humanoid magic knocks his staff into the platform that he's standing on, and a huge dome overtakes them, surrounding the entire area. Togisei is not contained with it. Neither is Descarus or any of Togisei's followers, or Komugi, who Togisei has grabbed, which makes sense because they're right next to each other hunting the magic. And so Togisei is like, when did we get here? What's with that dome? Why are we out here? And Komugi says, like, I saw Ichi dash off, and then you showed up and froze the mushroom magic and acquired it, and we see that the mushroom magic has been frozen, and she slashed through the cord on it. So, uh-oh.
I mean, they had to do something. I kind of kept the thought to myself, but I was like, this arc is kind of paced weird because we know Ichi can't lose this contest per se, because he can't disappear for 3 years. They're not going to do a time skip or something like that and take away the parts of him that are most unique. But they can't just have Ichi acquire a 4th magic in 15 chapters or whatever. They can't do that. So some shenanigan has to go on. And the idea that Ichi gets involved with a much more dangerous magic, but Togais does manage to get the thing. Okay, that functions to some degree. Hopefully by the end of this, Ichi will resolve this situation in such a way where Togais is like, you know what, I don't think he needs my schooling. Actually, he's perfect the way he is. And
we'll see.
And she just has a mushroom magic that I presume she'll never want to use again.
She hates it so much.
Yeah, it's not beautiful. It's not elegant.
It's not ice. She realized, we all got rejected out of this dome thing. But she summons Scopia, which is just some sort of, magical scope thing, peers inside and is like, all the villagers are still inside the dome. only the witches and the cadets were kicked out. And she looks at Descartes to like, he's like, hey, what's going on? And Descartes has a really insane look in her eyes. Like, it's kind of honestly hard to tell what she's like feeling, but she's like angry, she's scared, she just immediately recognizes what the barrier is and dashes towards it.
I think it's intensity. One thing I guess I just never really realized is that Descartes, I think, just naturally has kind of like curved in eyebrows. So I think she always kind of has a little bit of this like nonchalant sort of expression to herself or something like that. But the way she's reacting, I'm like, oh, this seems to be something she is taking extremely seriously.
Yes. Togese wants to know, like, what the hell are you doing? But suddenly she gets rung on her mirror, and it's Monogold. And she says, listen, I'm issuing code 00 S-tier magic warning. We just received a prophecy from the Association's Oracle on the 6th day of the 6th month at 45 minutes past the 2nd hour. In other words, 15 minutes from now, the eastern town of Hoitaka and its surroundings will be warped out. And Togese recognizes what that means because Monogold says, yeah, it's that magic. We don't know anything about it. We don't know its power. We don't know its acquisition trial. We don't even know what it looks like. All we know is that it appeared 15 years ago with absolutely no warning. And a chunk of mountain 3 miles in diameter, including 2 towns, was warped out in the blink of an eye. And we see what this warping out looks like. Not everything gets warped. Let's just say there's a truly hideous seeming thing that happens to the creatures in this area. Like, the first thing we see is a deer where the effect of the radius stops halfway through its body.
Yeah, you just see a side profile of the deer at first looking completely normal, and then you see it from head on, and you're like, oh.
But even stuff within the circle, there's corpses within it as well. So everything was killed immediately from it. Monogold refers to this as the Association's greatest enemy, which we've been hunting for years. If Uroro is the king magic, then this one and its ability to carve out and warp chunks of the world is the god magic. We named it the World Hater magic. And we cut to the World Hater magic, who looks at Ichi and says, you asked me how many people I've killed. You should have been asking me how many I'm going to kill.
Whoa. So he's a badass. He's a little bit of a bad boy.
Uroro is freaking out. He says to Ichi, you gotta activate me right now. Because that magic, we need to get away from it. We gotta get away from it fast. And so he's like, we're gonna get vaporized. We gotta go away before someone triggers it. You understand? And of course, Ichi is just like, here we go. He's like really intense, but also it looks as well like he's crying. But I think that he might just be sweating. It's just very clear.
Yeah, I think he's dripping with. I don't want to say dripping with anticipation. That sounds like something out of a bad slash fic. I think he's just like very excited, essentially.
He's licking his chops over this, and Uroro's like, "What are you doing?" And Ichi does the thing that we haven't seen him do, because he's been approaching things like a hunter to this point, but instead he does the thing that witches do. He points at the planet Hater Magic and says, my name is Ichi the Witch, and I'm going to hunt you. I hope you're ready. And that's the end of our chapter. Bad things are going down, and I'm very excited over it, Quinn.
I really love Aurora just like hands on head, and the last panel just like, why are you doing this to me, my dog? Like, I just told you how bad news this dude is.
Oh boy, no, not that.
Good stuff. Nick, we're talking about Syd Craft, Love is a Mystery.
Yeah, it's case 5, The Great Detective and the Stormy Night. All right, so Syd and Elio are out and about in the rain.
I forgot about this chapter.
It's a dark and stormy night, and wouldn't you know it, to make things even worse, they say Scissor-Leg shows up in this kind of weather. And Syd's like, the psycho killer Scissor-Leg who attacks people at night and chops their legs off. Oh, okay. Elio feels really self-conscious, like, I can't believe I'm getting all scared in front of Master Syd. And Syd's like, oh, no, that's not true. And of course, Syd's just also like, holy shit, a guy who cuts people's legs off. That's so fucking scary.
That's so terrifying.
Next page, let's introduce a character. I wonder if this is like...
I had the exact look. I will say this. I think this chapter went to show us that this series is not really going to be about mysteries. Like, it'll put in, like, clues so you can pick it up or whatever. But I was like, I think we were all supposed to assume from the second we saw this, like, well, that's Scissor-Legs, right?
That's clearly Scissor-Leg, right?
We're currently on a pattern of the, like, 3 or 4 main characters from the series do something, run into something else, and then they're like, that thing turned out to be the bad guy, actually.
I'm not even saying that as, like, criticism, like, obviously this guy's Scissor-Leg. This is no longer, like, I'm considering this a shortcoming of the series. This is a joke that we're all in on at this point.
I think that has to be, like, the second you see this, you're like, that's Scissor-Legs, isn't it?
That's Scissor-Leg, right? Look at that creepy smile he's got.
Yeah.
So they take shelter, and this guy is, like, the person who owns this cabin out in the woods. There's a little bit where Elio's looking around, sees a picture of the man with his little daughter. And he says, some issues forced her away from home for a few years, but she'll be coming back home soon.
Sounds like a very Scissor-Legs thing of you to say.
I'm sorry, I accidentally slipped into Scissor-Legs there. I shouldn't be doing that.
Scissor-Legs? I've never heard of a man that handsome. They're like, they didn't say he was handsome. Or a man. He's like, I must have just presumed. It's what a Scissor-Legs do. Damn it, I was so close.
Anyway, won't you have a seat? Take a load off your legs.
And
I mean feet.
That's what they say. Whew. Really scissored that one. Save that one. Damn it.
I'm Scissor-Leg. Damn it.
He's like, you must be so cold. Let me give you my shirt. And he has like a big giant I'm Scissor-Leg tattoo. He's like, actually, I'll keep this on now that I think about it.
I don't want you to know I'm Scissor-Leg. Fuck.
Hey, why do you have one of those postage stamp things that says Scissor-Legs instead of your name?
From the desk of Scissor-Leg stationery.
He's like, just a practical joke me and my daughter have. Your daughter
daughter who's definitely alive, by the way. While Syd and Elio are recovering from, the rain and stuff, Scissor-Leg. Do we even know this guy's real name? I don't know.
Just call him Scissor-Legs. It's who he is. It's really his real identity.
Scissor-Leg, some stuff falls off of his desk and a journal drops down.
How Scissor-Legs of me. I mean, clumsy of me. Like, all right, now you're... Now I'm starting to think you want us to think you're Scissor-Legs. I'm starting to get less suspicious of you now.
Oh my god. So Syd happens to spot, just like accidentally speed reads his journal, which I believe is a skill that like a detective would have, honestly, about presenting a bunch of like presents to his daughter, and there are dates that match up. Anyway, Scissor-Leg leaves them, says like, I'm gonna go prepare some tea, you guys make yourselves at home.
They say thank you for everything, sir. He's like, please call me Scissor-Leg. Almost made it out of the scene. Almost.
Sir's fine. Scissor-Leg. Shit.
He's like, actually, it's not Scissor-Legs. It's starts scanning the room. Scissor. Looks over at them. Legs. Damn it. Why are those the only 2 things in this room?
I will give Taishi Tsusui credit. I've never seen this particular brand of fan service before. The wet pants contest. Elio's pants are white and very transparent because of the rain. So she thinks to herself, like, oh my god, like, this is bad. Like, I'm so soaked. Even my underwear is soaked. Of course it is. But she's like, I can't just change clothes, though, because then, of course, Master will find out that I'm a girl. And anyway, I could never do something as shameless as undressing in front of Master.
Isn't this like a whole-ass hotel? Can't you just be like, hey, dog, do you mind if I go to a bathroom real quick?
The cabin has 2 floors. Like, so Syd is just taking his shirt off. And because he's like, my clothes are wet. This is how you recover from going in the rain. Yeah. He is ripped. But, you know, Elliot gets flustered.
It's all that romance novel reading he's been doing. That's where you find out he's like, actually, I specially ordered a book to be 700 pounds, and each page is like 35 pounds. So it really does take a lot of strength to lift.
Elio, of course, gets embarrassed because Syd is taking his shirt off, but then Elio's like, "Oh, why am I acting so strange? This is a normal thing amongst boys." And Syd looks right at Elio and says, "You should hurry up and take your clothes off too." And Elio's like, oh, "He just gave me such an outrageous order." She tries to, like, "No, I don't need to do it." And she's like, "I know he doesn't have dirty intentions, but he's given me such an outrageous order." And Syd's like, "What if you develop pneumonia? Come on, you've got to do it." And Elio's like, oh my gosh. So then she's like, "Very well, Master." And she's like all flustered and stuff. And then Syd says, "Okay, I'll be waiting outside. Let me know when you're all dry and ready." Yeah. This is my favorite part of this chapter because immediately he walks out and it's just like, there's no like flustered thoughts or anything. There's no like, oh, I can't believe. He's just like, we're both men. This will be inappropriate. We should establish boundaries as professionals and I should give him the space to change on his own. Yeah,
I like that he even brings up, he's like, as his boss, it would be weird for me to hang out in the room while he changes.
Just like a very genuine, like, yeah, he's got professional boundaries. Good for you, Syd. So he wraps like a blanket around himself because he has like taken his clothes off underneath it, but then he's got a moment to think to himself, and he looks around and he's like, you know, this house doesn't have any staircases. It's just got slopes, and the furniture is all low to the ground. So I wonder if his daughter uses a wheelchair because of like some sort of disability. And also, that journal I spotted, you know, the entries, there's nothing suspicious about them at all, but the dates, match up with the dates of Scissor-Legs' crimes exactly. It's just gotta be a weird coincidence, right?
Wait, this guy can't be Scissor-Legs. That'd be crazy.
He happens to come across a room where Scissor-Legs is sharpening his murder scissors and going like, "Oh, Tracy, my definitely alive daughter, I'm going to offer a present to you." Well, I guess he's Scissor-Leg.
That'd be... Dude, I want to find the one person who like turned that page and was like, the innkeeper is Scissor-Legs?
Cheesecake scene with Elio because, of course, she's taking her clothes off to warm up. Hey, we get confirmation she binds her breasts. Okay.
I think we knew that, but it's wild to me that, like, I just forgotten about this because it feels like it's been so long since we've had, like, a really shameless jump series, like, in terms of nudity and stuff like that, or, like, just fan service. So it was really, like, a moment where I was, like, almost taken aback again. I was like a Puritan woman that discovered, like, a Playboy for the first time. Like, oh, my goodness.
Oh my gosh, the skin they're showing.
Elio, all of your clothes are coming off, but there's a camera that can see you. Don't you know?
And of course, in true fashion of like, you know, Syd would never be able to tell that Elio is actually a girl with everything off. But if that hair comes down, so she's still wearing her hat, and that's the last thing that she has to take off, but it's still on when Syd bursts into the room. It's like, we're leaving, Elio! Or there's a murderer in the house! So.
Thank God as well that it was, like, really rainy and cold out, and she still kept the blanket up. Because, like, otherwise you would have just turned and been like, oh my God, Elio, you have a great figure, by the way, but we have to go.
What the heck? Man, how much can you bench? That's crazy.
I was going to have him say, like, I bet you have a sweet cock, but that'd be a weird thing for him to say. Regardless.
No. I have to establish boundaries in the workplace. So Syd just grabs Ellie and is dragging her, you know, down the hallway and saying, like, we gotta go, we're leaving. So fortunately, both of them have, like, very long, comfy blankets that are covering them up because it doesn't seem like either of them are wearing any clothes underneath them. Scissor-Leg comes out with his big old murder shears and says like, I need to cut your legs off, excuse me. Starts coming at them.
Guys, I have a confession. I'm Scissor-Legs.
I don't know if this may have come across to you before, but since we're getting to know each other, you should know this about me. I just want to have it out in the open. I am Scissor-Leg, and I am planning to kill you and cut your legs off in order to offer to my daughter, who is definitely alive and not dead.
Guys, I know we've known each other for a long time, but I feel ashamed to say I've been kind of hiding something from you. I know I've been acting kind of weird when Scissor-Legs has been brought up, but the only reason is because, well, I happen to be him, and I do need your legs to sew onto my daughter's body so that she can rejoin us in society. You understand, correct?
Syd, grab...
You want to help out young little Scissor-Legs, right? Miss Scissor-Legs?
I thought she had a name. Nope! Little Scissor-Legs!
She does. It's, hold on, let me zoom back here.
I know what it is. Tracy.
Tracy? Yeah, no. Tracy Scissor-Legs. It's a surname. It's a family name. And I instructed her, look, I understand this series takes place in the past, but I told her when she gets married, she's keeping the Scissor-Leg line name alive.
The way that she is. Oh my god. I can't believe I ever considered that we should not read this series in the Weekly Manga Recap. Syd ducks into a wardrobe for a hiding spot with Elio, and Elio is like, just like, oh my god, Syd's holding me in his arms, and we're both like not wearing like any clothes and stuff, so she's, you know, her heart's beating really fast, she's trembling, and Syd's like, don't worry, Elio, I'll take it so you don't have to be afraid. And for whatever reason, Elio's brain immediately jumps to, oh my god, he's gonna take my first kiss?
Well, so here's the thing. The key thing is, amusingly, Elio has not made the connection that the guy is Scissor-Legs yet.
Elio's not the great detective, so, you know, all those things about Scissor-Legs saying, I'm Scissor-Legs, she hasn't heard them all. So.
Yeah, so she doesn't see this guy coming down the hallway with a giant pair of scissors because she's too nervous about the fact that she's nude next to the person she has a crush on, who she cannot let find out that she's a woman. And it just she's like, man, Master is like really intense and weird about things. And she just assumes, she's like, oh god, he must wants to kiss or something.
Yeah. She, like, there are some really weird conclusions that she jumps to based on the stuff that Syd does say. But if you keep in mind that she knows literally nothing, then, okay.
She's also down bad for this guy. Like, this is her crush. So
she thinks that Syd is going to kiss her in this closet, basically. Meanwhile, Syd is just realizing, like, oh my god, you know, we're making noise. Scissor-Leg is going to come and kill us. Scissor-Leg turns around with the shears and is just going shing, 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 you know, the way a murderer does. Syd realizes, like, oh my god, I need to get him even if we take each other out. Which is, you know, like, noble. He wants to protect Elio. Scissor-Leg comes for the door. Elio, who only thinks that Syd is about to kiss her while they're naked, just goes, I'm just not ready for something like that. And she tries to leave the wardrobe, just barge out of it. And the door smashes open and catches on one of the blades of the shears, and they get stuck. And I love this sequence because Scissor-Leg just goes, I can't pull my shears out.
This is awkward.
Hold on. And Syd just like beats him up. Everyone's expressions in this page are so funny because immediately goes on, oh, we're gonna die too. Oh, hang on. One second. So Scissor-Leg is captured. They call up Inspector Souffle, and she's like, all right, not bad, everybody. You caught the infamous Scissor-Leg. And Syd says, like, it was all due to Elio's bravery and quick thinking. And Elio just thinking, like, oh my god, I feel so embarrassed that I completely misinterpreted everything that happened. But they say, Flamberry says, apparently he lost his daughter to a leg disease and chopped off the legs of healthy people and just offered them to her grave. And as he is being taken away by the police, Scissor-Leg says, I only did that because that person told me that if I did so, my daughter would come back to life. That's what Zero Craft said. And Elio is seemingly the only person who hears this. He's mumbling to himself. And so she thinks, Zero Craft? And of course she looks at Syd Craft, who's missed everything.
Yeah.
And then Elio quickly forgets about that because she looks at Syd's face and just remembers everything that happened last night, all of the nudity and near misses and everything. And she's like, oh, I'm not going to be able to look at him for a little while.
Syd's too busy being like, but Detective Flambury, what's going to happen to this wonderful inn? And she's like, I think the Scissor-Leg inn's just fine. It might need a rebrand, but...
Also, this isn't an inn, Syd Craft. It's just someone's home. All right. Yeah, fun chapter. This, I think, was my favorite chapter of Syd Craft so far, actually. I really liked this.
It helps a lot that I'm realizing now, like, oh, I'm not really supposed... Like, it helps, like, to maybe, like, pick up on some of the clues before they just get openly said. But I don't think we're supposed to really be digesting this like a mystery. This isn't Cypher Academy where it's like, you know, if you were really smart, you could solve these puzzles the same way the characters are. It's like, I turned a page and I was like, is that Scissor-Leg? And I was right. And honestly, I kind of enjoy that. It was silly and funny. It reminded me that Susui does have, like, sometimes a finger on the pulse of how silly his own writing is. And that's what I kind of enjoyed from this chapter. Because, like, yeah, this is so silly and over the top. You know, this is so goofy, essentially.
Absolutely.
And I just enjoy that, you know, we got to have, like, silly fun and all of this. That is fair. Cypher Academy, now in retrospect, was not actually solvable on your own. But the idea being, like, this is not like a real mystery, I think, in the way that we are meant to, like, uncover the clues and figure it out. Like, it's usually the one person we meet.
I like the comparison for I Am a Gentleman has drawn, which is it has the complexity of Scooby-Doo. Well, they met a character. That's probably the person under the mask. So.
Yeah.
All right. Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi, Chapter 25. Let's play Precept Power Ping Pong. It's, Sosuke and his master against Mr. Sakaki and Kiyoshi in a ping pong match at the onsen hot springs place that they're staying in. For some reason, Jack Joe has an ice cream. Good for him.
Hell yeah, buddy.
So Sosuke serves, Sakaki returns it and gets it past Sosuke, but then it gets returned back by Tsurugi. So then it goes to Kiyoshi, and so he's all set. He smashes the ping pong ball, and nothing happens. Where'd the ball go? Then Kiyoshi looks down and realizes that the ping pong ball is fully stuck to his paddle. And Sakaki's like, dude, this is a ping pong table at an Exorcist resort. Obviously, it's going to work a bit different than usual.
Obviously,
this is a Goma Hot Springs specialty Precept Power Ping Pong. I am overpowering my microphone with my pops right now. He says, if you do not unleash your Precept Power when you hit the ball, then the ball won't leave your paddle. So Kiyoshi's like, well, why didn't you tell me that? And Sky's like, read the room. All right. Tsurugi serves next, and so he gets set. He also tells Sosuke, like, hey, come on, because Sakaki, you know, he uses underhanded tactics, so we got to take this seriously. As the serve happens, Sakaki just goes, oh, look, a demon! And Sosuke turns around. But Tsurugi is prepared. He covers for Sosuke's mistake. Kiyoshi goes in next, and this time, like, all right, now I'll unleash my Precept Power. This time, he just fully explodes the ping pong ball. And Sakaki's like, come on! Look, all right, this is training. Training for you because your weakness is you can't control your Precept Power. These ping pong balls are special and require absolute control over your Precept Power. Even top-class exorcists find it hard. I spent tons of time practicing here when I was in Concordia. Kiyoshi, right now, you're unquestionably powerful, but your control is definitely lacking. The way I see it, if a technique calls for a hypothetical 50 units of preset power, you're spending 80. You're overspending all the time. Because you're doing that, that places a heavy burden on your body. If you don't deal with this, it's going to be the same thing over and over, and your techniques are also not going to be as powerful or sharp as they could be. So he succinctly explains all that, which also goes, into why Kiyoshi failed in his fight against the demon lord last time. He ran out of preset power. Maybe if he had used his power more efficiently, he would have been able to defeat him. So, okay, fair enough. Kiyoshi gets all determined. They re-engage in the ping pong match, and then it's just still not going well. They've won a few points, but it's still 11-3, so they're not doing great. Sosuke is looking really, really braggadocious. He's like, "Oh, you want me to show you how it's done?" And Tsurugi's like, "You literally only just mastered this power just now." But Kiyoshi's really embarrassed, and then he overhears a commotion because Mako and Akari are having their own little ping pong match over another table and just having a really, really crazy fast volley between the two of them. And Kiyoshi's like, "Oh, wow, Miss Akari is amazing at this." And Sakaki says, "Yeah, Akari's pretty good when it comes to control." So Kiyoshi approaches and says, Can you tell me your secret, Miss Akari, please?" And Akari's like, "He wants me to teach him something." And she just starts like crying and happy. It's like, "Yes, of course I'll teach you, yes."
If I had a nickel, Nick, for every time a shonen manga had a male lead whose biggest weakness was his inability to control his massive amounts of power, and a side female character who otherwise is completely unspectacular to the two much more important male leads around her, had the special thing of being really, really good at controlling her power, and so she takes it upon herself to teach the lead character, I'd have 2 nickels, etc.
Yeah. I'm sure there's more than that, by the way, too.
I'm sure. This just immediately calls to mind.
Sakura and Naruto, yeah, absolutely. So, she starts off by actually like kind of rubbing Kiyoshi's shoulders from behind and says like, "Okay, you got to relax and stuff." Sosuke immediately is like, "I'm so fucking jealous of Harai right now." Mako comes over and is like, "Why are you ogling Akari?" And he's like, I'm not. And she's like, "I'm right here. I've got boobs too," essentially. Akari, rather, Mako says of Akari, "You know the thing with her." And then, so a character shows up and goes, "Hey, you, back off!" And backs Kiyoshi off and like tackles him to the ground away from Akari and says, "You've had those lecherous eyes of yours locked on Akari's bare collarbone, didn't you?" And Akari says, "Knock it off, big bro." And we are introduced to Concordia, Knights of Light, Karuta Jogasaki. So I was like, "Oh, you didn't know? Akari's older brother is in Concordia." And oh man, it's an overprotective brother who's just...
Look, he hasn't been too bad yet, but yes, this might be...
He will be in one page.
Was he? I honestly have forgotten. Yeah, that's right. Okay, never mind.
Another member of the Knights of Light, Winchester Matagi.
I love, like, the one dude has, like, such a strong Japanese name, and then the next dude's like, "My name's Winchester." Like, all right.
Winchester Matagi, just to confuse you extra hard.
Just so you don't think you have a handle on it.
I have a hat that has a little skull on it. Isn't that charming?
I also cry blood, it seems.
Just constantly crying blood. What's my deal? I don't know.
Guess you're going to have to find out about old Winchester to see for yourself.
Sakaki gets excited because he's like, good, because all these guys are going to participate in our mission. This is Concordia's Tsurugi Hijiri platoon, which consists of Tsurugi, Mako, Sosuke, and then these 2 guys, Karuta and Winchester. Karuta immediately turns to Akari and goes, "Hey, let's go take a bath together." Anyway, Kiyoshi looks around and realizes, like, hey, wait a minute. Where'd Nehana and Jackjo go? Well, we catch up with Tsurugi, who abandoned all this nonsense, to go and do some, like, Yoda training thing. He's perched up on a boulder, which is on top of a smaller boulder, which is on top of a smaller boulder, which is on top of a smaller boulder. It's like a reverse ice cream scoop of rocks.
Yes.
And Jackjo and Nehana approach him and say, we want to have a talk with you. They're very nervous about it. And of course, this is the guy who wanted to exercise Jackjo and separate the two of them. Yes. So whatever they have to ask of him must be very important to them.
I think they want him to train them. They want to get stronger and, oh God, what's his name? I want to say...
Sakaki?
Sakaki, yeah. Sakaki said no. You're like, you guys shouldn't be in fights. But this guy might realize, he's like, all right, I think you guys actually have some potential. Sakaki's kind of a wimp about this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like some elements of this chapter, but I think that it jumps around a lot. And that new character, man, just like immediately is like,
you don't like Winchester?
Hey, oh boy, I love Winchester, but the other one, just immediately like, Syscon character. What's his deal? He's a Syscon. That's it. That's all there is to him. There's nothing else. So, yeah, all right.
Hot dog.
This is what Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi needed in order to take it to the next level, guys. Oh boy.
Look, I like this chapter because, one, this felt like the series recognized, like, oh, we're not ending soon, actually. We do get to run a little bit longer. So we need to address the giant albatross that this series had that MASH would just never address. They were just like, man, fuck it, what if MASH just beat everybody in one punch if he really wanted to? This series is like, okay, this character who is like obscenely more powerful than everybody else needs to be brought down a little bit, and they need to address like, okay, you are very, very powerful, but you waste a lot of your energy. You could actually be a much better exorcist if you train. That's great. Good stuff. Introduce new characters, that works. I don't love a Syscon character. That's never usually a good time, but I'm going to give him a little time. Maybe he, I like Gauss sometimes, so sometimes it can kind of work.
Anyway, moving on.
Nick,
Marriagetoxin.
Technically.
There's a little thing. It's a little thing.
Technically, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a little file. It's one of those kind of character profiles that we've gotten on, the love interest and stuff. This one is about Chinatsu Akakura, the bodyguard that was met not too long ago. But in particular, this is a report prepared by Zhao, the young girl who she's, charged with protecting, aka her adopted little sister, basically.
Yes.
So I was like, yeah, I'm going to give you a bunch of intel and stuff. And so she just kind of she says, some real profile things like, oh, here's her height and blood type and stuff. And then there's just points about she's a really cool. She loves sweets. She was popular stuff. And she's awesome. And that just all she's great. She's great at protecting. She's very, very charming. She's got such a nice smile. She carries me off when things are bad. And then there's just a moment where she's like, kiss him, kiss Garrett.
It's very funny. There's a lot of little details and stuff like that that's really cute. I love that she reminds us all about the various members of the windmill or the windwheel users, but she lists all of them as her underlings because she's like, they all work for me, basically. And also,
they have nicknames for all of them, too.
Yeah. And also, this silly digital manga has a cutoff for a 20% off coupon at the food truck that they sometimes run. And I think that's very, very adorable.
Mm-hmm. And then we get at least one of them we've seen before, but I think we've actually seen both of them before, the color pages of Garo and Akakura on their dates together.
I believe we've seen both of these, yes.
So nice to be reminded of this character that I had legitimately up before this had kind of faded from my memory. I remembered her the least out of everybody that Garo got on dates with.
I remember liking her to some extent, and she occupied this interesting thing. I think she had another name. She wasn't an assassin or whatever the things they use, but she was a defender or a transporter, some like adjacent field. But I forgot her name, and I just went into our Discord, and they were discussing the fact that one of the details Zhao brings up is that she was extremely popular in her all-girls school, and someone just posted something like, Chinatsu didn't realize about that, and I was like, wait, was Chinatsu we never learned? Like up to some...
First of all,
or not we
never learn.
But from Blue Box, Nick, all words are fucking...
When there were no lesbians and we never learned. We've been over this. Come on.
The thing is that for a quick second, you almost gaslit me. I was like, God, right, that was like the straightest series there. Wait a minute. I recall a delicious revelation that said differently about that.
And I was browbeaten into giving you a pizza for no reason.
You're right. I owe you a pizza.
We'll see. So, all right. Yeah, this was a nice little chapter. I liked it. New Exorcist. You said you liked almost every chapter except Astro Royale this week.
Yes.
Are you sure there wasn't another exception?
Nope.
Okay.
This is a good chapter. Hold on. Immediate backtrack. This is a good chapter for New Exorcist, to be clear. I think there is a very low bar, and I think they stepped over it.
I think maybe it trips over the bar and somehow goes over it. But
anyway, still counts. Still gets you 3 points in the NFL.
I will say this as a positive point. This is actually a really nice color page on the cover. I quite like it. It's chapter 79. I'll be back. How can you not?
You gotta, yeah.
Gakuro has
because the other version is I'll be back. You'll get yours, Fumino family.
It's Fujino family. I've lost a lot of blood. Gakuro has been dragging himself this whole time since since Fujino was taken, and he's like, I just have to go save her. Gets to the door that leads to Nue's threshold place, and as the door opens, Nue addresses him in that weird language of hers, and she says, "Oh, Gakuro, just look at you." And Gakuro looks up, and he is in some sort of vast arena, a huge the inside of a circular building. And it is a cool effect because you see Nue's true form in the silhouette of the windows as well. Kathy, who is a character I remember.
I'm going to say, so did you know this character's name, or were you reminded when Kaneko fan referenced that she's in this chapter?
I remembered it because she says her name.
Oh, does she? Oh, that's right. They say Kathy right there.
It just says her name. That's the only reason I know why. Kathy fucking conveniently pulls out a feather and says, "Here's a talisman with Nue's power woven into it. It can recover your command energy and heal your wounds." Instant heal up. You got to the save point, Gakuro, and you got everything restored immediately. Yeah. You're good. You're back to 100%. And Kathy says, it sounds like she sank a lot of power into this and kept it for an emergency, and she's bad at healing, so I'm actually quite impressed it worked. Gakuro is totally fine. He's like, "Oh, wow, yeah, I feel great. Thanks, Nue. I'll be back." But Nue says, "I'm not letting you go." And teacher guy, assassin dude, big dude guy.
Oh, man, I love this dude.
Look, he only ever shows up to train Gakuro and beat him up, which is what he does. He punches Gakuro so hard in the jaw. Honestly, it's a really good punch panel.
It's very satisfying. If you're like, Gakuro's annoying, I hate this character, he sucks shit. I have saved in my phone the image of Magu-chan just slapping the shit out of Uneris. I might include this in there. It's I have a slideshow that just scrolls through on my phone, and I might put
that's what I should do, Quinn. That's what I need to do. best Gakuro getting curb stomped moments from the year. I gotta get some nominees. I gotta reread. No, wait.
yeah, you just gotta start from almost the beginning, really, when you think
almost
about
the beginning. Chapter 26, I guess is what it would be. Oh boy. Anyway, so he declares to Gakuro, I'm here to actually stop you. Nue says that you're not strong enough to go and save Fujino, so I'm gonna stop you. And Gakuro says, no, I wouldn't say that! She said she wouldn't sacrifice anyone! Draws his sword, goes to attack, and immediately, he's just like, what, you're taking her declaration seriously? Grabs him, Gakuro by his arm, Judo flips him onto the ground, and he says, like, look, that's impossible. It's obviously impossible. People are fragile. They die easily. How hard is it to protect even one person in combat? How much does it wear you down? Especially when they're, like, naked and they stand up to fight the demon. That's kind of weird. Makes it really hard to defend them. There's no way you don't know how hard it is. Gakuro's like, well, I'm on the ground, and the last time I was flat on my back and I tried to punch someone, it actually went surprisingly well. Maybe 2 for 2. Oh, no!
Gotcha, Bell!
Oh, no! Oh, wait, I realized he could just punch me back.
They figured out my weakness!
He is told, look, Nue is in the state she's in right now because she was protecting you during the battle with Kasha, and she had her hands full during that. You wouldn't be able to save a single soul. Grow up and face reality. You don't have a handle on any of this yet. Not your abilities, not the enemy size, no information about the battlefield. So, what could you do? You can't even beat me! And I've been telling you, you gotta keep your emotions out of this. If you don't, you'll just end up hurting. So stay here, behave yourself. And then Gakuro says, Master, I think you actually do want to save Fujino. Says it surprisingly well for a man who has been punched at least 5 times in the nose in sequence. But then, darkness, shadows, and his master realized, like, wait a minute. There's darkness here, and this force. He was waiting for the moon to go behind the clouds and use his super shadow power thingy. Gakuro gets up, he's drawing power into his Zeno Dark, and he says, you told me I have to grow up? But that's not what I need to do! I have to be somebody who can protect everyone and still survive! Someone really, really strong! Nue hasn't given up on a fight with no sacrifices. She just entrusted it to me so that I can save everyone, Fujino included. And that means there's only one path here.
I love it because this dude's like, fuck this dude. He just grabs a shit ton of knives and just throws them at Gakuro. But Gakuro's in like his cool, like, this is like a cool, like, I've grown up in a way, and I've realized what I need to be. I'm standing up, and I'm going to be an even better version of myself. So he doesn't even have to be a big loser. He's like, Zeno Dark! He just does it silently and destroys this dude, like, completely.
So he declares, after doing his big, samurai single stroke thing and landing behind him, I swear I'll return alive with Fujino. I'll be back!
Was that you trying to do a Schwarzenegger?
Hasta la vista, baby!
Are you asking me a question?
Your voice is not supposed to tick upward when you deliver badass one-liners.
Wait, it's not!
The Ice Age!
Oh, you're just dropping bad Arnold Schwarzenegger quotes now.
Kathy stops Gakuro before he can leave and says, hey, Gakuro, here, there's another charm inside of it that'll heal your wounds!
This is the best part. Is they're like, alright, Gakuro, we're gonna full heal you just this one time. Because it's the last Nue has. And then at the end, like, he gets the shit beat out of him. She's like, alright, but I had one.
I was kind of counting on you doing that without getting your shit pushed in first, but here you go.
Yeah, I thought you were stronger than you were, so I'm gonna dig into my reserves, I guess, for this.
Gakuro leaves. the master says he's growing exceptionally well. This space of new ways was incomplete, so my soul armor wasn't perfect, but even so, I never thought he'd break it. Nue from behind the doors says Gakuro displays the most strength when he's fighting for his companions. He fights for his friends. Even during that drill you just gave him, he grew incredibly fast. This is the time when he'll grow the most. The master says, I mean, it shouldn't be possible, but if he can keep growing at that rate during the fight at the Fujino family estate, he may just manage to rescue Shiroha. So he says to Gakuro, who of course is gone, he can't hear him, give your best. The Fujino's estate is a graveyard for intruders. No one has ever come back, even as a corpse. I do actually see what you mean about this chapter.
It's not as bad as the usual chapter. Gakuro establishes himself. We follow up on a plot line from before. He looks kind of cool. There's some interesting art being used. He doesn't just fucking say Xenoblade. Like, I don't think it's good, but I said the bar's pretty low, and I do think it made it over. Maybe it dings the uprights, but it did get through.
I do appreciate that as well, you know, a character that first showed up in order to be sent to go and retrieve Shiroha is the last person that Gakuro confronts in order to get set to go and rescue her from the Fujinos.
Now, let's pull back a little bit. The series is still pretty bad. This would have been a lot cooler moment if I knew really anything about this guy. He's just kind of Gakuro's drill sergeant. And that's fine, I suppose. It would have been a more impactful moment if we had gotten to see that this character's like relationship with Fujino Shiroha was sort of like shifting as a result of all like the time he was spending with these guys, but you know, it still is fine.
Yeah, character writing, unbelievably, not New Exorcist's strong point.
I'm struggling to think what that strong point is.
Akane-banashi, story 139, Raise the Flag.
Let's do it, Nick.
Kiroku, as well as the future Shigema and Isho, who are, at this point, Kisoba and Rokuen, but there's a lot of name changes that are going to happen in this one chapter alone, so I'm going to just call them Shigema and Isho the way I have been this whole time. They have been expelled by this point, and it's been 1 month since then. Kiroku is taking them to a temple, and he says that during the war, many arts were purged for being inappropriate or decadent, including Rakugoka. A total of 53 stories were purged. Their scripts are held and mourned here in the Hanashizuka, a monument to these stories. And they approach this huge stone that it has Hanashi written on it. And he says, in short, this is the Rakugo graveyard. Perfect, isn't it? As the place for guys who got expelled, saw their Rakugo careers die to raise the flag of a brand new school. And both Shigema and Isho are like, wait, what? You were going to start a new school? And Kiroku says, yeah, I can't call myself Kiroku Kashiwaya anymore. That's been taken from me. My thought is, I'm going to leave the name Kiroku to you two. Like, what do you mean? He says, no matter what I tell you, you guys are going to keep on dragging this around like it's your fault, right? So, Kisoba, Rokuen. He split his name and gave it to the two of them. And he just kind of gives them a grin and is like, yeah, you guys will make Kiroku huge together. After they part ways, Shigema says to Isho, like, this is so embarrassing because he's still just like cleaning up our own messes and stuff. Kiroku has impressed upon them that, like, look, Miroku still is like watching us closely, so we're going to have to start on the road. So they're going to have to get out of his area. Shigema says to Isho, I swear to you, no matter what happens, I'm not keeping secrets. We share one mind and spirit. And there's a quick panel here that is such a cool conceptual shot that I wish it were way bigger and more prominent than it is, which is the two of them are walking side by side and the sun is casting their shadows so that they overlap. Mm-hmm. That's like a potentially really cool visual, but we only see a smidgen of it. And I'm like, I saw that and I was like, oh, that's a really cool idea. Too bad it didn't happen. Like,
I will say the biggest problem I have with this chapter is simply the fact that it has to do so much that it doesn't really give time to like make the moments in this chapter feel as big as I think they are. Your example is great. The one that bothered me is I was like, yeah, I feel like we really should have had like a 2-page spread to really hammer home the significance of the Rakugo graveyard. Like the idea that they're like, here are 53 stories that just cannot ever be told again. That is what this place represents. Like that's incredible. It like, I don't know. I would have loved like a 2-page spread of that, you know, or something like that where like, even if where he's like, let's raise a flag, like something like that gained like a giant moment. It was damn, there's just too much to do in this chapter. We don't have time for that stuff.
So the two of them agree, all right, we're going to strive for greatness together. Shigema is getting worked up and Tiriani says, we're going to turn this moment into a funny story too, like Master Kuroko wanted us to. But Isho says, you don't have to tell me. I need to atone for this for my entire life. That doesn't sound ominous at all. But Kiroku, who has been walking apart from them for a bit, says, "Oh, one more thing. I forgot to tell you this. For my new name, I was going to come up with my own, but I found the perfect name to take over. A name that died out because no one inherited it. A Myoseki. The last owner was a popular but unconventional man who got the crowds roaring with his bizarre gags and dances. My name will be the 5th Shigema Arakawa." And he announces this at the soba shop when they reconvene with Kyoe and Urara. And Urara takes a commemorative photo of the three of them, Shigema and Isho and Kiroku all together. Well, now Shigema and you get the idea.
I get it. Yeah,
you get.
There's Shigema and Shigema, but the G's been replaced by a 6.
Yes. And so we get a shot of that picture, the one that Urara has that's been taken from Shigema's home. And Urara is visiting the graveyard where presumably Kiroku lies now. And she says to Akane, "It's been a very long story, hasn't it?" A lot of people have been saying that, yes. But she asks Akane what the old Shigema means to them, being his children, being his counterparts. Has this answered all your questions? And she hands the photo over to Akane. She stares at it for a second and she asks, "Why is Isho Arakawa the way he is now?" And Urara says, "I don't know. Why don't you ask him yourself?" Seems perfect, doesn't it? And of course, we are reminded that Isho was going to take on Akane as his apprentice during Shigema's sickness.
Yes.
Urara says, "As a Shinichi, you can change your stage name as long as you don't possess a Myoseki. You're free to give yourself a name totally unrelated to your master's. The day that your master received the name Shigema Arakawa, his counterpart chose to be Kisoba no longer. And yet, to this day, he still calls himself Isho, using the same kanji as the ki and Kiroku. Doesn't that tell you everything?" And then she says, "You can figure out the rest for yourself."
I like it. Do we know what Mikaru is planning to name himself?
No.
The chapter does end, by the way, with Mikaru texting everyone to say something. So I wonder if that is going to be connected to it. But it is one of those moments of like, I wonder what he might pick.
Mikaru's got something to say to all of his fellow apprentices. And of course, we know that, he was saying "Oh, I can be the new master" and stuff. But it seems like he's got maybe a more feasible plan at this point cooked up. we'll have to just find out. We're back in the present timeline after what feels like a really long time now, looking back on it.
It was a substantial period of time, like a month or so.
I do like that. I didn't pick up on this before, that Isho's former name Kisoba is the key from Kiroku and Soba. Like, that's just so funny to me.
Yeah.
That's cute. That's manga for this week. Because there's no One Piece.
One Piece. Also, by the way, we should announce this now because people are still listening to the podcast. This will give them the heads up. So next week, guys, it's Wednesday. That's when we usually record. Next Wednesday is Christmas, and not a great time to record. Also, probably not a great time for people to even tune in live. So we're not going to be recording on Christmas. But, however, Christmas week is actually like kind of complicated. So the only time we have free right now, it looks like, is Monday evening. That is when we are aiming to record. That does mean we will record before like the Tuesday series come out. So we'll maybe have to like sit on a couple chapters of something for a little bit, but that is currently the plan.
Yeah. Assuming that there's Chainsaw Man, assuming that there's Marriagetoxin, we won't be talking about them on the next episode. We'll either be summarizing them or just covering double chapters. Or hey, maybe we could talk about them on the like year-end show.
Like that,
yeah, so we'll figure it out.
Is it before Boruto? I thought Boruto comes out on the 20th.
It doesn't matter.
yeah. Oh, we don't have to talk about Boruto. Oh, no.
Oh, sorry, guys. We just never talked about that.
What are you going to do?
What can you do, you know?
We forget. You just can't. What are you going to do?
But yeah, we are going to definitely be doing the show on Monday, at least assuming that nothing else comes up.
Yeah.
So we will be here at probably the usual time during the day, which is 7:30 to 8 Eastern time here on twitch.tv/RoloT. Just got to get that out of the way. We do have to cover, however, our favorite chapters and MVPs this week. What do you think, Quinn?
Yeah, this is a great week of manga, as I mentioned. But two series I think really stood out kind of ahead of everything. And I think that is Akane-banashi as chapter of the week was just really good. I loved all this detail. I feel like I now understand a show so much more. Like this has suddenly become like a much more complex character to me. Like I'm now like, oh, I start to see why you are the way about the stories and why you expelled everybody and like all that sort of stuff. I almost wonder if the expulsion wasn't a test for those Rakugoka to see if they would try to continue outside of his school. It's what he did.
I got expelled.
Yeah.
Come on. This is a guy who had nothing and thought that was something that was very important. So it would be very easy to take that and see, like, you guys all have your freaking safety nets. You've got stuff that you can go back to. So if you quit when I tell you that you're out, then that means you were never really cut out for this anyway.
Yeah.
He's someone who was seeking his passion when he had nothing, and he found it, and he went for it completely all in. So somebody like Akane's dad, who, when he was kicked out, was like, well, I'll go do something else then. In Isho's eyes, that just means
that was right.
Meant to do this.
Yeah.
You were not meant to do this. The same way, like, if I had failed, I wouldn't have been meant to do this. It would have been something else I should have found. So
great stuff from him. And then my character of the week, Chinatsu. I love Chinatsu from this week of Blue Box. I thought she just had such a profound realization of herself, and the exploration, it really like struck a chord with me. It made me almost want to like make videos, like, because I was like, I want to talk about why I like Chinatsu so much and why her growth from the start of the series, where we were kind of honestly her classmates. We were like, what's this girl thinking? She just has big giant eyes and doesn't really like talk a whole lot. Like, I wonder what she's even thinking about. Now, like, oh, I see inside she's just a scared teenager like everybody else who doesn't.
Yeah.
Am I messing up? Am I doing something wrong? It's just like, yeah, good stuff.
All those anxieties that she has in this chapter are so very relatable, but I love the conclusion she comes to, which is, I don't know exactly who I am because I have a way I feel about myself. It seems to conflict with the way everyone else sees me, so I don't know what the truth is. But I know that basketball is important to me, and I want to win. and I want to show my dad how important basketball is to me. That's just very, very good. And Chinatsu is also my MVP. Absolutely. 100%. Guys, guess what Nick's favorite chapter this week was? Can you guess?
Well, let's see. Hold on. I'm going to use some deductive reasoning. So if I were to look at the past 3 months of weekly manga recap, I would be statistically very likely to hit if I bet on Ichi the Witch.
So yeah, let it ride, because it's Ichi the Witch this week.
Yeah.
I love the freaking visuals in this. I love how much this guy is built up. I love that Ororu is scared and Ichi's just like, hell yeah, I'm gonna hunt this thing. But the fact that this series went from like, oh, this is fun, they're gonna have little goofy adventures where they have to, make a vein shark that has ice powers, feel like she's beautiful. They need to hunt a little mushroom guy, and then, oh, this thing kills entire towns full of people immediately. We call it the Planet Hater magic. Like, holy shit! Like, what the hell happened? And it feels right. Like, it doesn't feel out of place, and it's just really cool.
Yeah.
I love Ichi the Witch.
The audience, by the way, agreed with all of us on Chinatsu and agreed with you on Ichi the Witch as chapter of the week.
Long may it rain. All right.
Yes.
We're going to wrap things up there then, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We have past episodes on weeklymangarecap.podbean.com if you want the audio version. The video version is on youtube.com/weeklymangarecap. You can also check out podcast feed type places like iTunes and Spotify and watch episodes listen to episodes that way if you prefer it that way. Video version has an opening sequence by Milo Jack Stillitz and Winslow Cheddar. Thank you guys for making that for us. Occasionally, we also get title card artwork done by Steve Man. You can check out all of his work by just searching for Steve Man art. He's all over the place. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/weeklymangarecap. If you guys want some extra content, you can support the show a little bit financially. Get episodes where we have weird discussions where we talk about, like, hey, what if there were entire other negators in Undead Unluck? What if there were, well, we haven't actually had any other exercise beyond that. We do Weekly Manga Recap Lives on there occasionally. We do a lot of talking more recently about Western comics with the special graphic content section. And so we have a lot of just fun extra conversations on there that are not strictly manga related.
Yes.
Discord. The Discord will be linked everywhere that this podcast is posted to. Join it. Talk about it. Have fun hanging out with people. And also you'll be told when the show goes live. But also you can join us on BlueSky. Follow us on there. Relo T, Nick F. Time. And
Weekly Manga Recap.
And I think that's everything.
Yes.
I'm starting to spin out and lose energy. So
you nailed it, Nick. You did fantastic. Just want to...
Also, there's also a Google Doc, too.
Yes, Google Doc run by Ninja X3i. You can put all your things. I think the Superlative Awards. Guys, we're almost at the end of the year. This is crazy to me. We're so close to the end of 2024. Long may it rest in piss. And, when the Superlatives come out, we're going to need help figuring out which ones are going to get kind of like whittled down from all the nominations. So Ninja will probably be putting out some polls. I know there is a BlueSky account for Ninja called WMR Votes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think the link might also end up getting like cross-posted into the Discord. So participate in those because that's how we can't do a superlative show at the end. If there's like 400 nominations, we need to know just the best of the best. It's also your way to kind of, in a way, subtly force us to pick the things you want us to pick. Because if those are the ones that win, then go on. That's all we're picking from, really.
And that's going to do it, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on Weekly Manga Recap. And thank you for joining us here on Weekly Manga Recap. I didn't have a second thought, so I didn't come up with one.
Delicious. Bye, everybody. Wait, I didn't. Hold on, wait. There's the stop button. Goodbye, everybody.